Hi, I'm Coach Isaac, and this is the SLAC Student Athlete Success Story, a podcast dedicated to the student athlete journey in Ghana and across Africa. This is the SLAC Student Athlete Success Talk. Let's talk. The colonial days ended decades ago, but what if its influence still decides the Ghanaian student athlete experience and how they are supported? We're going back to our roots, Gold Coast, before it was even called Ghana. We're talking about how Ghana's school sports history has shaped the student athlete experience. We're going to be talking about the colonial era and the days of our visionary, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So let's start with the colonial era, the 19th and the 20th century. This was when the British came in and introduced sports such as football, athletics, cricket, tennis, and they did it through the schools. So we cannot talk about the history of Ghana, even when it comes to school sports, without talking about the visionary, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Why? Because Dr. Kwame Nkrumah established the Black Stars. And before they were called Black Stars, they were known as the Gold Coast 11. And Kwame Nkrumah, being the visionary that he was, worked with experts. So he worked with Ohene who he appointed to overlook sports in the country. So, still within the colonial days, let's talk about gender participation. So, the girls were unfortunately limited to playing netball, rounders, which is you can also call baseball, and tennis. So, many of the girls and women were not so much allowed or given the opportunity to play football or play cricket. They were limited to netball. And actually, that's why if you go throughout rural schools, netball is actually the number one sport in amongst the girls. So the inter-school sports competition, which is known as interco, was Ghana's main pipeline for identifying talent and finding the teams that will go on to represent our nation. So inter-school was the main foundation of our national teams. And this is why a nation cannot build a solid, sustainable youth sports program without the schools. Every nation does that. And so Ghana has to go back to it. We have to start focusing on the school sports and also the experience of our student athletes so that we can have valuable student athletes who would represent the nation, not just in the sport, but also as leaders. Let's talk about some of the famous athletes who have come from the school sports system, our student athletes. So let's start with soccer. Michael Asian attended the St. Augustine's College, and that was in Cape Coast. And everybody, when you're looking for his history, you would find out that he was spotted in school. We have our legendary Asamoah who attended the Accra Academy in Accra. He was also spotted in school. Let's talk about Mohamed Kudus. Mohamed Kudus was a student athlete. Yes, he wasn't in PESEC. He was in the Right to Dream Academy. So he was a student athlete. And then lastly, in soccer, we have Abedi Pele, the maestro. He was a student athlete at the Ghana Senior High School in Tamale. So now let's go to athletics. For athletics, we have the likes of Rex Brobe, who was a student athlete at the Opokuwari Senior High School in Kumasi. And Rex is one of Ghana's most accomplished track athletes. And he did compete in the 1984 Olympics 4x100. And he has done Ghana well. And even now, I know that as old as he is, he's still fighting and working to raise the image of athletics. We have Martha Bisa, who was a student athlete at the Odumang Senior High School in Kumasi. Then you also have Dana Yankee from the TI Ahmadiyya Senior High School. It looks like the Ashanti region does produce a lot of track athletes. So finally, for athletics, we have Benjamin Azamati, who attended yours truly, Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, my school, Blue Magic. Yes. And we all know him, the famous Ghanaian track athlete who has made Ghana proud and still making Ghana proud. So for para sports, we have Promise Aheto, who was a student of the Ghana International School and represented Ghana in the Commonwealth Games, was the first ever para swimmer to represent Ghana. Thank you for tuning in to the SLAC Student ID Success Talk. Join us next week as we bring you stories, insights, and conversations that highlight the student ID experience in Ghana and across Africa. I'm Coach Isaac. Let's talk.